Yeah, relax just.
You're still relaxing, yeah. Okay, yeah, fair enough.
Training.
Fair enough, yeah. Okay, mate. Let's have a look at your stroke then from above and below the water and see what we can do to identify it. Quick question: how comfortable do you feel when we use a pull buoy in the training sessions? Do you think that makes you swim better or worse, or?
Yeah, it helps me.
It helps you, yeah. Okay, sort of lift your legs up a little bit in the water. Okay, so let's just have a look at this. Now, everything that we see on the computer screen right now is actually being recorded, including our voices over the top of it. So if you have any questions or queries, just sort of raise the question, and then we'll be able to record that as we go along. Let's just have a little look here from the side. Now, first things first, the stroke itself is nice and smooth. Okay, it needs a little bit of tweaking here and there, and obviously that's what we're trying to identify within the stroke today. So as the hand comes into the water here, it's a nice hand entry, in that we're entering fingertips first into the water. I'll just show you this. So fingertip first into the water. So fingertips before your wrist, wrist before the elbow, which is exactly what we want to see. On the other side here, same sort of thing. One of the things that we need to be careful about with respect to like keeping your shoulders healthy is the palm of the hand sort of turning out. Can you see that? So when the palm of the hand turns out, you essentially internally rotate your shoulder joint, which can be one of the leading causes of shoulder pain and impingement. Okay. So just as you start to increase your volume of training, etc., the last thing you want to be doing is getting held back by any sort of shoulder niggles or anything like that. You know what it's like on the bike and running in particular sort of thing. So this left hand entry is much nicer into the water. Always fingertips first. Now let's just play it a little bit further along. Quite a nice bit of rhythm to the stroke. Let's take it from the top. Okay. Now, from this angle here, one of the most common things to see is people crossing over in front of the head. You don't do that. You actually got a really nice hand entry into the water. Let's just draw that on. Just there. Now, you could say, well, maybe it's just marginally over sort of thing, but it would only be about that much over. Same thing with the right arm here. So if anything, it maybe wants to be around about there. But it's pretty good. It's actually pretty good. I've just been taking someone for a lesson just then, and he was crossing over quite substantially in front of his head, almost like this, basically. You know, and it's very common to actually see that. Now, because you actually do a reasonable job of keeping your profile quite straight in the water, and you see obviously it just straightens out even further there, you actually do a pretty good job of keeping your legs close together. 9 times out of 10, when people cross over here, what we tend to see then is like a big scissoring of the legs. Yeah, exactly right. Yeah.
You need to
so that's what you could see before, was it, on the video? So you're actually doing a pretty good job there of getting that right. Now we'll come back to what your arms are doing underneath the water in just a moment. But generally speaking, that alignment, I'm pretty happy with that. The best ways of actually just trying to sort of improve that and work on it further is. We do this all the time, obviously. Where are we? Here we go. Within the squad sessions, we practice this a lot, just that sort of kick on the side drill. So important. And what we're trying to simply do there is just think about that arm, as you can see there, just pointing straight forward in front of you. The way to do that is to think about drawing your shoulder blades together and back. Sometimes if you're a bit sort of like rounded in the shoulders, I've spent a lot of time on the tri-bars. It's very easy to feel quite tight there in the upper back and shoulders. So just thinking about drawing your shoulder blades together and back whilst we're doing this is very useful.
Sometimes you do some drills and you don't know why you do them.
No, absolutely.
It's good to explain them.
This one is very important indeed. Hence the reason we do it so much. You see obviously the alignment there, just trying to hold that position. The other drill, obviously, which is very similar to that we do, is the 6-1-6 drill. We just kick on the side, holding that position there, and then swapping from one side to the other, and obviously making sure that you stay down that black line as we go along. It's very easy just to think that this exercise is just about rotation, but really it's as much about your alignment in the water and keeping yourself nice and straight as you possibly can. So even though I'd actually classify your alignment into the water as really quite good, it's still, it's obviously something you just need to be mindful of as you swim, basically. So looking quite nice from that angle. Let's just take it a little bit further along. Still looking good there. we'll just take things underneath the water. Let's have a little look here.
Yeah, I feel like my left hand is dropping.
Yes, you can feel that. Yeah. I'll show you this in quite clear detail in just a second. Now, let's just zoom in a little bit here. What can you see missing within the yellow circle?
Should I head more down?
Nope, not so much.
Bubbles?
Bubbles.
Yeah.
As simple as that. As simple as that. So one of the most common things I see when I take someone for a session, you see how there's a tiniest little bubble escaping from your nose here? But generally speaking, your mouth is like this, holding onto the breath.
Yeah, I breathe and then I hold in and then I go out.
And you can feel that, okay. So the very first thing I'm going to show you today is how to actually improve that the breathing aspect.
Yeah.
It's very, very simple. It'll take us 2 or 3 minutes to get right. But if you think about it, the repercussions of this, if you're riding your bike or going for a run, you'd never ever hold onto your breath. You want to be breathing out.
Yeah.
But also, one of the questions I just asked you was about the body position in the water. What do you feel like with the pool boy? Does it make it easier or harder?
Yeah, making it easier.
Make it easier, yeah. The reason, obviously, it's giving you buoyancy. It's lifting your bum and legs up.
Yeah.
But if we could actually reduce some of the buoyancy in the chest and lungs from getting you exhaling more efficiently, a lot of people hold on to the breath. The front end sits quite high, as we can see here. Oops, sorry. Front end sits quite high, but then the back end tends to droop down in the water. Yeah, exactly right. We just sort of start to see that happening there as we're going along. Now, we'll come back to the arm action itself in just a second, because it's not the best angle to see it from. It's not like you always hold on to your breath, but it's definitely like a bit of a pause and then and if you can feel like you're doing that, that's a good sign. Obviously, just when you come past the camera here, you see the legs really getting quite low at that point.
Yeah.
So one of the key things that is holding you back in the water a little bit is simply that the legs, as you get tired, start to sink down in the water a little bit more. The other thing as well is that when you're training for these long distance triathlons, etc., the more bike and running you're doing, the more lean muscle mass you're actually developing, especially in the quads and the hamstrings.
Yeah.
So what you tend to find is the fitter you get on the bike and run, the lower the legs will start to sink at the back. So I was saying to Janine yesterday, in fact, that you get to a point with your swimming whereby at the start of a training program you actually feel quite good. But then as your bike and running starts to feel quite good, your swimming tends to actually then tail off. And a lot of it's to do with the fact that you're sort of losing some muscle mass, losing some fat, etc., and becoming leaner in the water. Interestingly enough, when I swam the English Channel 6 weeks ago, and I put on 13 kilos for that exercise. A huge amount of body fat to put on, still carrying obviously quite a bit of it. But it was interesting. The fatter I got, the faster I started to swim, just because I started to float much better. So with yourself, though, it's going to be the complete opposite of that, and that just sort of leads to that sort of low sinking position. So if we can reduce some of the buoyancy here in the chest and lungs, that's going to almost like pivot you, almost like a seesaw, and help to bring you hopefully a little bit more horizontal in the water there. Now, it's interesting what you said about the head position, because where you look in the water is a very individual thing. So if we just draw this on here, look, you're looking forwards in the water, maybe 2 meters in front of you or something like this. Some swimmers are taught that they must look down. Some swimmers have to look really far forward, otherwise their bum and legs will actually pop up out of the water. So if they've got very good natural buoyancy, then the really natural swimmers, natural buoyant people, should be looking a little bit further forward. The very, very low sinky leg swimmers should be looking straight down. Okay, but with yourself, the position that you've got at the moment is not too bad, especially if we get you exhaling more efficiently and can get your bum and legs sitting up a little bit better that way. Obviously, the slightly far forward head position that you've got there is going to be beneficial for sighting, for drafting in the open water. And drafting has been shown to save you up to 38%. So it's important that we become quite good at that. And obviously, when you've got a wetsuit on as well, then that's going to help things. Out of interest, what wetsuit do you use?
I have a Helix.
You have a Helix, okay, yeah. How do you find it?
Yeah, good.
Nice, yeah?
Yeah.
Excellent. Okay. Now, looking at it from the side here, all I want you to do is tell me what you think about your leg kick.
Yeah, I tried to kick one, but it's a double there.
Yes, yeah.
So
it's like a 2 beat on one side and almost like a 4 beat on the other. Yeah.
Kick. So that's what I'm trying to do.
Absolutely, yeah. Now, just watch what happens here. See how you said you felt like that left arm was dropping in the water? You can see quite clearly it's doing that exact thing here. So it's actually you're actually pulling through with quite a straight arm at that point, which if you think about it, pulling through with a straight arm is going to give you a lift at the front, cause your legs to drop down at the back, but it also gives this position whereby the palm of the hand here is still looking down at the bottom of the pool. Now, in order for you to sort of suddenly generate forward propulsion, what you actually do with this leg here, look at the back, the leg actually gives you a bit of a kick start. So what I mean by that is, let's just draw this on here. Quite a bend at the knee there.
Yeah.
When you're bending and flexing the knees as much as you are, you're using your quads and your hamstrings a little bit too much. And obviously they're muscle groups that you'd want to be saving for the bike and run, but they actually just suck up quite a bit of oxygen and energy. Now, if we just play this in slow motion, I want you to see just exactly how this is all timed. You'll notice it happens on both legs, and it happens right at this point whereby your stroke just sort of pauses just momentarily and then goes again.
Okay.
So just watch this. See that there?
Yeah.
It's almost, I often call it like a bit of a kickstart. Now, if we could do some work on that, and let me just show you this here. Look, this is this swimmer that I'm going to show you here is Shelley Taylor-Smith, 7 times world marathon swimming champion from Perth. I'm going to show you what she looks like from the side. Absolutely fantastic swimmer. Now, just watch her leg kick.
Yeah. That's good.
Really, really, really nice. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, perfect 2-beat leg kick. So if we just slow it down, so as that left hand goes in, she's kicking down with the right foot.
Yeah.
As the right hand goes in, she kicks down with the left foot there.
Yeah.
But she's got like this sort of scissor action. Oops, let's get rid of that. You know, I was saying before, a lot of swimmers will actually have like a crossover in front of the head and the legs will scissor kick apart laterally. Well, she's got like a vertical scissor whereby she's kicking down and kicking up at the same time, if you like.
I think I've seen this video before.
Yeah, it's really, really nice to sort of see. And when she does that, again, if we just sort of watch this in real time, sorry, in slow motion, so it's half speed here, you can really see how she just sort of synchronizes it up.
Yeah.
Now, one of the easiest ways of getting you to do that within your stroke, and we will try this when we jump into the water, is if we just put you in slow-mo again. If we could get you wearing a pair of flippers, the flippers themselves will keep your legs a little bit straighter. And if you could actually think about the same action that Shelley's got, you're clearly getting the timing right within the stroke. You know how it should work, etc.
Yeah.
But you're just actually using that foot or that leg like a little bit of a kickstart. So rather than actually bending from the knee, if you could actually just think about scissoring vertically, so it's a tap down and then tap back, just preventing some of that bending from the knee there. That'd be quite good because obviously, as soon as the knee bends here,
that's where I kickstart there. Yeah.
That's exactly right. You can see that. Yeah. Also, the knee drops down quite low, creates quite a bit of drag on the top of the of the leg, basically. Shelley's got the kick. Well, it's not really a kick start; it's just a continuous rhythm.
Yeah, that's really good.
Really, really, really nice. Yeah. Where she also looks very, very good from is the front here. So in terms of the catch underneath the water, let's bring you. See the big difference? Very, very straight arm. Yeah. Now that's not too bad that side. And a little bit better that side. When you have been in the squad sessions, this arm, is it this one? Yeah, left arm was sort of like crossing over a little bit.
Yeah.
So you've taken it a bit wider, but it's still a little bit on the straight side. So
keep it up there.
Exactly right. Yeah. And if you just sort of play it in slow motion. Obviously, when you pull through there with the straight arm, it's creating press down, especially with that left arm.
Yeah.
Right arm's a little bit better. Watch this next one here. Now, you see Shelley going. Now, she's been out of competition here for 10 years when we filmed this.
Yeah, she keeps her elbow like in this high all
Absolutely,
the time.
Yeah, very, very high, yeah.
Mine is down there.
Dropping down quite a lot, yeah. And she's moving here easily at 1 minute 24 per 100. 1 minute 21 per 100. Very nice indeed. Now, if we just swap Shelley for Rebecca. This is double Olympic gold medalist Rebecca Adlington from the UK, current Olympic champion at 400 and 800 freestyle. See there, every single stroke, absolutely beautiful. And if we were to actually draw the angle on, just as a pure comparison, around about 100 degrees.
Yeah.
Nearly, well, 160 degrees there basically. So quite different.
Yeah.
Now you could say, well, actually, I'm taking a breath there. We know that I'm better on my right hand side. But watch what happens with Rebecca here. Even when she takes a breath in, it's still exactly the same angle there. Exactly the same. When this right hand comes in, your right hand side is a little bit better.
Yeah.
But even then, still quite a bit different to Rebecca. Now, you'd expect, obviously, with her being Olympic champion, that she would have an amazing catch and pull through. But it is possible to obviously try and generate this within your stroke, and that's one of the key areas that we're going to try and work on today. Because that very straight arm pull through with the left side is what I'm going to attribute to quite a substantial component to the fact that the legs sink low in the water there. Rotation's nice in the water. Alignment's nice in the water. You need to get your breathing out a little bit better. But the big thing that we'll work on today is this pressing down and getting that catch just working a little bit better for you there. It's not the easiest thing in the world to get right.
Yeah, I can see that one up.
You see, yeah.
Yeah. Kind of push it and then.
The push down, exactly right.
It.
Yeah. When you see Rebecca swim past the camera here, look from the side, you'll see where the analogy of reaching over a barrel comes from. You can see here, look, so this right hand comes in, keeps that elbow very nice and high there. You just bring onto yourself from that same angle. So obviously the elbow just sinks there a little bit. Oh, sorry. And more of a push down. Big difference between the two, and that's really what does, I suppose, separate a good age group swimmer from someone who is very elite like this.
Yeah, pretty good when I go into the water.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Fading out of them.
That's exactly right. Yeah. This is quite good here.
Yeah.
You can quite clearly see that the palm of the hand's looking back behind you, but obviously the leg's sinking quite a bit lower than what Rebecca's got there. And a lot of it's just this port here.
Yeah.
Then the kickstart comes in. And then we drive through. And at this part, it actually looks quite good. It's just that front part there, look. Just pressing down. Now, how does this compare to the video that you did a couple of years ago back home?
Not as advanced like this.
Oh, sure. But sorry, in terms of of what your stroke looks like, yeah.
Yeah. I think I swim much better now. I'm faster.
Yes, okay. So what would be what would you say would be a PB now for 1,000 meters, for example?
Right now?
Yeah.
I did 16:35.
16:35. Okay.
Yeah.
So what's that? 130.
139.
139. Yeah, about 139 per 100. Yeah. So it'd be really good to try and get you down to sort of 15:45s, 15:30s, somewhere like that, even down to sub 15.
That would be awesome.
Yeah. And a lot of that's going to have to come from getting this catch a little bit better at the front end of the stroke. Now, those sessions that we do during the week, like the Wednesday morning session where we're doing like some faster intervals and threshold stuff, that'll obviously be a good way of actually just trying to tune this up. And if you can maintain your stroke whilst you're doing that, then that's going to be really good. But it's quite nice to see that sort of action happening underneath the water with respect to the kickstart and sort of seeing where it's coming from. So
it's like when you see yourself, you think like you do the right thing, but when you see it, it's
absolutely.
Yeah, it's not the same at all.
It's not the same, no, exactly right. So what we're going to do in a moment then, we're going to jump back into the pool. We're actually going to just do a little bit of work on your breathing first and foremost. And every drill that we do going forward, okay, I'll ask you, and at the start of the session you'll have no problem. We'll do these exercises to get your breathing better.
Yeah.
The first few drills, you'll be breathing brilliantly. But then as we start to get maybe a little bit more technical, focusing a little bit more on your catch, guarantee you'll start to hold on to your breath again. But what I want you to try and do is prove me wrong there and actually just make sure all the time today's session we're actually exhaling efficiently underneath the water. And again, that's one way to make yourself a lot more aerobic in the water.
Yeah.
then obviously holding on to the breath.
When I swim open water, I breathe
Every second stroke?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Can you do it equally come through to both sides, or?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good, yeah.
If I breathe on my left side, I go faster.
Yeah, okay,
because
yeah,
I'm
sure.
a little stronger there.
Yeah.
So, that's
have
one
you
thing
ever
I
measured
noticed.
that?
Yeah, we have like 750
Okay,
pulls.
yeah, and you've tried it,
see,
yeah.
it's like 30 seconds difference.
Right, sure.
Yeah.
Sometimes when people only breathe to one side, they'll tend to sort of veer off course a little bit. So even though they might be stronger, feel like they're faster sort of thing, ultimately they tend to not be. But if you've measured it, then fair enough, yeah.
But I'm seeing like I'm drifting away as well.
Sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Okay, good. Now, what we're going to do here then, there's a couple of drills which I'll just show you on here. Remember, everything's being recorded right now, so you'll have this when you get home. The footage that I just wanted to show you here. Where are we? Here we go. So this is a drill, obviously, again, which we do a lot of during the sessions. Sculling. So the idea, you've got the pull buoy between the legs here, and just gently sculling in and out. But when you're doing this particular exercise, you're trying to maintain the fingertips below the wrist and the wrist below the elbow. So again, trying to keep that elbow high. If we look at what this looks like underneath the water, it's that same sort of position whereby it's like you're leaning over a big Swiss ball, for example, or a barrel, some people call it. Now, watch what happens. If you actually collapse your elbows in the water, like you may be just doing a little bit just before we start to pull through, the palm of the hand looks down. If you do that whilst you're doing this exercise, suddenly stop going forwards and actually start to go backwards. The ironic thing is here, when I'm doing this exercise, I'm actually feeling more pressure of the water on the palm of my hand when I'm going backwards. So it's quite easy to misinterpret that as a good catch. Likewise, when you're pushing down with that straight arm, you'll feel like you're getting a good catch because it's working your shoulders. When you get the elbow bending and pressing the water back behind you, though, it starts to feel it much more on the lats and the pectorals there. So this is quite a good drill for you to practice on a regular basis, just to sort of work that idea of keeping the elbows high. As is this little drill here, which again we do quite a lot of in the training sessions, doggy paddle. So again, this is with the pull buoy. When you get doggy paddle right, as you can see there, you can actually move really quite quick with it. The focus being this idea of just keeping the elbows out and bent. Nice and smooth, just sort of stretching forward there. I quite like to use the pull buoy with this one because it's just sort of to basically to focus your attention on not kicking and just getting on the proportion, thinking about that catch there as you're trying to pull through. Okay, now let's just pause this. I'm going to stick all this onto a DVD for you, so you've got some record of this to take away with you today. I'd also like to give you a bit of a technique training program that if you pop down for when you swim by yourself, you can just follow through with.
I try to do 5 sessions a week.
Oh, right, okay. Well, in that case, then this will be perfect. Yeah. Now, when we let me just bring this up here. For the last 3 years, we've been working on a system to identify basically types of swimmers, essentially what's holding somebody back. I don't know if you've seen this from the website, our swim types. Which one have you gone through and tried to identify yourself as one of these types, or you're not a classic?
No,
like, it's not. It's a little bit. Go on.
In the middle of some, I think.
Yeah. So I'll just explain them. And basically, the Arnie is somebody who, certainly when they first get into the water, when they first start to swim, look like they're really fighting the water, quite aggressive. Often have very, very low sinking legs, tend to cross over in front of their head. Maybe years ago when you were first getting into triathlon and stuff, that's maybe how you were swimming then. The Bambino is somebody who's a lot more nervous in the water. That's not you at all. Kicktastic is somebody who kicks very, very strongly. But the overglider here is somebody who's quite sort of thinks a lot, sort of analyses things quite a bit, and sometimes takes the idea of a very, very long freestyle stroke a little bit too far. Now, a true overglider, and you're not a true overglider, would actually have a complete catch-up at the front end of the stroke. But what all overgliders tend to have is that period where they just sort of momentarily pause and then get this sort of like kickstart coming back in. So the program that I'm actually going to give you is the Overglider program, because it's all focused predominantly on improving your catch and pull through underneath the body, work on the rhythm of the stroke. But like I say, many of these things you'll read through it and you go, oh, I've already solved that, I've already improved that. The key parts of it are going to be the training sessions in here, just to sort of work on improving the catch and rhythm and timing of the stroke there, like the skull number 1, etc. So it's just a PDF program. You print it out and bring it down to the sessions, for example. And there's four specific sessions in there that you can follow through. Rebecca Adlington, who I've just shown you there, is a classic sort of smooth freestyle stroke, nice catch underneath the water. They just generally need a bit of a tidy up with their stroke. I'm also going to pop that one on your program as well, because this is more of like think of this almost like a maintenance program.
Yeah.
Of the 2 stroke types, you're more closely linked to the Overglider at the moment, but you're not a million miles away from being quite smooth with the stroke. Shelley Taylor-Smith, with that sort of 2-beat kick, faster stroke rate tempo, is more of what we call like a swinger, basically. Those guys underneath the water tend to be like sort of crossing over a little bit when they're not really well defined, like Shelley is. Okay, now let's pop these onto a disc for you then. So think of the Overglider program as a way to correct your catch, and the smooth program as a way of simply, just general TLC, looking after the stroke, if you like. Now let's just pause this here then.